Hey, well, this is scary. Listen, and you agree with me. The righteous will see and fear. They will laugh at him, saying, here now is the man who did not make God his stronghold, but trusted in his great wealth and grew strong by destroying others. But I, or you, child of God, am as like an olive tree flourishing in the house of God. I trust in God's unfailing love forever and ever. I will praise you forever for what you have done in your name. I will hope, for your name is good. I will praise you in the presence of your saints. Interesting, right? That is from Psalm 52:7 going down. And it's straight from the book of wisdom. Now, child of God, I understand it could be your first time here. And now let me take this chance to welcome you aboard with lots of love, my friend, and respect. Myself, I'm Y311H. And on this episode, together, my friend, we shall be spreading our message to the whole world. Our message here, which is love, the unconditional love of God, the unfailing love of God, honesty, peace, forgiveness, unity, my friend, repentance, among other good vibes, virtues that can guide humans. If you, you can remember some that I've not mentioned, you can tell us down below. So, my friend, before we dive in and react to the videos you have today, have it in mind that that is our message, and we are always guided by our maker and creator in spreading that message to the whole world. So, let's talk with our creator before we begin the show today. Dear Lord Father, full of mercies and unfailing love, like you have told us from the book of wisdom. Thank you for all that, Father. Thank you for life, dear Lord. Thank you for your breath in us. Thank you, dear Lord Father, for your wonderful, precious being that have joined us today. Thank you for that gesture, Father. Dear Lord, thank you for the blessings in store for them through today's video. Thank you, dear Lord, for the goodness and uplifting that you will bring in their lives, Father. Dear Lord, Father, may you also give them more strength, Father, and also, Father, guide them in your paths. Be with us till the end, dear Lord, and we shall be grateful. In your holy name, Jesus Christ, we pray, trusting and believing. Amen.
My male brain is trying to wrap itself around this difficult research. It finds that the reason men, as they age, struggle with memory and cognitive issues more than women is the chromosome. Women have two X's.
Yes.
Men have an XY. That
Yes.
second X actually wakes up brain health after 65. So if it seems
I
like
believe it.
Grandpa is a little slower than Grandma, it's not his fault. It's not his fault.
It's genetics.
Yeah, it's
Yo, guys, who are we waiting on? Natasha? Yeah, I haven't spoken to her in like 10 years. Invite her. Yo, Natasha, how you been? I'm good. Thanks for asking. Yes, I did move out to Texas. You still live here?
Ay, bueno,
I'm
pues.
sorry, one sec.
Don't mute me. Don't mute me. Why are you
What's going
hiding me? Are you hiding me or what?
I'm not hiding any. Sorry, guys. Give me
No,
2 seconds.
don't mute. Don't mute. Keep that.
Yes.
What is going on?
She
Who the
is.
heck is
She
that?
is. Natasha's saying, are you Latina? She's
Hola.
Latina. She's Latina.
And then I don't care who she is.
She's
I
from
don't
Puerto
care
Rico.
who she is. Puñeta. Puñeta.
Was that nice? Yo, chill. You calm down too. Now she's
No.
cussing you out. That's my time, Chloe.
Yeah, that's it. You're lucky I didn't throw it in my phone. You're lucky. And then you
Babe.
better shut that down.
Yeah, I'm really
Shut
sorry.
it down.
Natasha,
Before I
no,
shut
no,
everybody
don't
down
take
here.
any. Wait, she wants to talk to you, baby. She
I
wants
am.
she wants to talk to you.
Puñeta, no te palca. There's nobody here.
Yeah, it's nobody.
Stop your.
Max. Oh my God. Max. Jesus Christ, dude. Max. Max. You motherfucker, dude. Holy shit. Oh.
It is so important to be mindful of what you share with others, and I'm going to share a fact, a quantum physics fact with you to illustrate my point. So in quantum physics, we often hear that the smallest particle is an atom, but even smaller than that are quarks. Quarks are the smallest, they're smaller, they're what make up atoms. They're what atoms are composed of. There are up quarks and there are down quarks. There are strange quarks. Once you start getting into quantum physics, there is a lot of strange stuff. I was talking to a quantum physicist about it, and he was telling me that there's like disappearing quarks, there's potentially time traveling quarks. There's things that really make you question what we know about reality when we start studying quantum physics. But anyways, what they discovered is that quarks, remember, they're the smallest particle, smaller than an atom. They're what an atom is composed of. Quarks will behave in a very specific way when they are not being watched. They've found a way, with atom smashers to smash up atoms and then, cause the quarks to break up as a result. I'm probably explaining this really poorly, so if you're a quantum physicist, don't judge me. But they get an atom smasher, smash up the atom, the quarks disperse. What they found was that quarks will behave in a very particular way when they are not being watched. However, when a viewer comes into play, when somebody is watching the quarks and observing them, the quarks will start behaving and acting differently in accordance with the thoughts of the observer. And this may sound bizarre. To me, it doesn't sound bizarre because I know that thoughts become things. It's so obvious. It's so evident. I can go on a whole tangent, on a whole rabbit hole. Tell me if you want me to make videos about this. But quarks will move in the direction that the viewer is thinking them to move in. And the reason why this is so important to know and so powerful is because, do you ever notice that your behavior changes around certain people? Like, do you ever notice that if you feel super comfortable around someone, you show up as your most authentic self. You show up as your most vivacious, live. You think of that best friend that you can just tell anything to. You can joke with them. You can laugh with them. You're a goofball with. That is probably the person who you feel most like yourself with, because you know that you're safe with them. You know that you could just be yourself with them. You know that you can just be who you are and show your true self, and they're not going to judge you for it. And that causes you to show up as your most authentic self. Now think of somebody who is maybe really judgmental towards you. Like, everything you say, they're always putting down. They're always making you feel like crap about yourself. How do you show up around them? You show up like maybe more conservative self, more reserved. Like, you don't really want to talk to them. You don't really want to show your best self. You don't really want to. This is a perfect example of this observer theory, this observer, quarks being observed, us being observed in action. We often modify our behaviors based on who is observing us. But I'm going to give you a trick. I'm going to give you something that you can do now that you know this, now that you have this knowledge. You can decide how you want to show up in the world. And by the way, this might apply to relationships as well. Maybe you've been the type of person who you always say, any man that I don't want, he wants me. But when I really like a guy or when I really like a girl, I just seem to push them away. I just seem to scare them away. Why is this? This is the observer. I'm going to call it the observer theory coming into action, because what happens when you don't really like a guy, you're not thinking about what they think of you. You're not thinking about how they're perceiving you. You're not thinking about that. You're just showing up as your natural self. You're just being your goofy self. You're just being your authentic self. And that is so attractive to people. And that's why the people that you don't necessarily like are drawn to you. But what happens when you really like a guy or you really like a girl? That's when you start thinking, what are they thinking of me? Do they perceive me this way? And then that causes you to modify your behavior in accordance with what you think that they're thinking about you. And so the hack to literally getting anything that you want in life is to stop giving a fuck. That sounds so simple, and it sounds like, oh, okay, yeah, like, yeah, sure, Bridget, so just stop giving a fuck and all my problems. No, seriously, stop giving a fuck what people think about you. Stop giving a fuck what your crush thinks about you. Stop giving a fuck. Just stop giving a fuck and do whatever you want. Be the person that you want to be, because when you just show up as your natural, authentic self, your atoms are literally like, you're coming into alignment of more of the person that you're supposed to be. And what happens? People are so drawn to you as a result. They are so magnetized to you as a result, because all you're doing is being yourself. And my life has changed since not giving a fuck. Like, yes, things bother me here and there. Like, I'm a human. Obviously things are gonna bother me at times. I'm not like prone to like not feeling emotion. But I'll just give you a couple examples of how this has played out in my life. I used to have a coworker that I would make TikToks, and every time I would make TikToks, she would send them to all of our other coworkers. And at first this really bothered me, because I was like, dude, why can't I just create content in peace? Like, why do people always have to be talking about me? Why do they always have to be like, same thing, whenever I would make a post on Instagram, the like count would always be way lower than the share count, meaning that people, instead of just liking the photo, are sharing it with their friends. And I'm like, why are people why can't people just like it and not share it? But I'm like, you know what, hey, good for me, it's gonna boost me in the algorithm. But I could have let this get to me and say, oh, I'm not going to make videos because what are my coworkers going to think of me? And what are they saying about me and this and that? Instead, I just said, fuck it. Like, this is nobody's life but my own. I'm going to live it how I want to live it. And I'm a woman on a mission. I have a follower account that I want to reach because I want to promote my books. I want to create a business. I want to do this. I want to do that. Like, I am on a mission. I don't have time to care about what people think of me. I don't have time. Like, there's that saying, like, lions don't concern themselves with the opinions of sheep, and eagles don't flock with pigeons. Like, if you want to be an eagle, if you want to be a lion, if you want to be that person that just doesn't give a fuck what anyone thinks, like, you have to start practicing that now. You can't give a fuck what anybody thinks, including the coworkers that are like talking about you or sending your videos to other people. So anyways, that's just one example. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to keep posting. And I've done that. I've continued to just do that on multiple different pages of mine. And my accounts have been growing as a result, because I can't afford to care. This is the thing. In order to achieve the life of your dreams, you cannot afford to care what other people think of you. You cannot afford to be so concerned with their opinions of you. You really can't. You just have to be yourself. Another example of this is when I moved to LA, I started taking acting classes. And my first acting class, I was like, okay, I could either play small and be concerned with what everybody in the room thinks of me, or I could just say fuck it and go for it. And I said fuck it and go for it, and went for it. And let me tell you, that has been one of the biggest growth factors in my life. Because when you just approach situations of like, fuck it, I'm going to go for it, and just showing up as your most authentic self, people were like, oh my gosh, Bridget, like, I see something in you that I don't even see in my acting friends that are like paid actors. Same thing now when I go out dancing, when I go out and I'm enjoying myself and having a good time, I could think to myself, oh, what are these people going to think of me if I'm dancing all crazy and I'm like, who cares? Fuck it. Like, I'm just gonna dance. And sometimes they think I'm drunk, which doesn't even really matter anyway, but I'm completely sober, having the best time of my life. And I have people come up to me saying, you are the type of person that we make music for. Like, I see you making it big someday. And it's all because I decided to stop giving a fuck. So stop giving a fuck and just watch what happens.
How can you forget a memory that you'd really rather not think about? You're asking the right girl, because I'm Rachel, the neuroscientist, for anybody who's new. So we tend to think of forgetting as a passive process, but actually your brain works very hard while you're asleep to consolidate some memories and weaken others. It uses a blend of chemicals and little electrical impulses to triage the remnants of your experiences and figure out which of them will be useful for your future needs and survival. Homie is doing its best. It doesn't always get it right. So how do you forget the stuff that it's clinging to that you just never want to think about again? Option 1, direct suppression. The more you engage with the memory, the more your brain's going to think, that one's super useful, we'll keep hold of that. So basically, when a memory springs to mind, you suppress. There are studies that support that method, but I don't think it's very practical. It can paradoxically make you think about it more. Like, don't think of a red balloon effect. So, option 2, that's thought substitution. Think of it like a neurological pump fake, that anytime a memory springs to mind, you confuse it with conflicting signals. So when you think of that embarrassing moment, you immediately think about a not embarrassing moment. You follow up with the same one. Consistency is key. Or you go back to the coffee shop where the love of your life broke your heart and create some new memories. Lastly, option 3, reinterpretation. So a memory of a public humiliation can be reinterpreted as a learning experience, for example. And I know, it sounds like a toxic positive, pull yourself up by your bootstraps platitude, but there's real neuroscience there. So join me in my next video where I'll talk about just that.
If she has these 5 traits, marry her. If he has these 5 traits, follow him. Most people talk about being an Ephesians 6 man or a Proverbs 31 woman, but talk is cheap. If you really want to spot one in today's world, here's how to tell who's real and who's fake. Number 1, she multiplies what you give her. A real Proverbs 31 woman doesn't just take, she builds. You give her groceries, she makes a meal. You give her a house, she makes a home. You give her a vision, she turns that vision into reality. This woman invests, plans, and prepares. Proverbs 31:16, she's not just waiting for life to hand her things. Number 2, she's not a liability, she's an asset. This woman is not there just for the good times. She's got your back even in war. Proverbs 31:11, the heart of her husband trusts in her. If a woman stresses you out more than she helps you grow, that is not a Proverbs 31 woman. Number 3, she's covered in class, not just clothes. It's not just dressing modestly. A Proverbs 31 woman moves with dignity. She's not accessible to just anybody. She doesn't entertain foolishness. She doesn't chase attention. And she's definitely not posting things on here for validation. She laughs without fear of the future because she knows who she really is. Number 4, she's feminine but not fragile. This woman is not weak. She's soft, but yet she's so strong as well. She works hard. Proverbs 31:17. She manages her household well and stands with wisdom. She definitely doesn't nag, argue, or create chaos. She brings peace. And number 5, she fears God and not the world. Charm is deceptive. Beauty is fleeting. But a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. She doesn't just claim to love God, she lives it. Now, 5 signs of a true Ephesians 6 man. Number 1, this man is a warrior, not a weakling. Ephesians 6 tells all men to put on the full armor of God, meaning that this man will sacrifice everything for you and your children. He doesn't fold under pressure, and definitely doesn't let the world weaken him. This man is disciplined enough not to lust for other people as well. This man leads with power. Number 2, he leads with actions, not just words. All that while leading his family, his woman, his children. He does it every single waking day, so sacrificially, and does not complain. Number 3, he protects you like Christ protects the church. And this doesn't mean just physically, because there's a huge difference between just a man who protects you physically and a man who protects your emotions, your mind, and your heart. Number 4, he's very disciplined and not distracted. This man doesn't live for pleasure, he lives for true purpose. And number 5, he's feared by hell itself. Ephesians 6:12 reminds us that we don't wrestle against the flesh, but against the rulers of darkness. The reason he's feared by hell itself is because Satan knows that this man is a leader.
dystopian future iceberg. So cyberpunk is an entire genre of media that's normally about this really futuristic society that is controlled by mega corporations that has immense control over society. Usually in these universes, people get like cybernetic enhancements that help with the progression of technology and just the overall survival of living in a massive city. I'm sure most of you have heard of Cyberpunk 2077, which is a video game about this place called Night City where there's a bunch of dangerous gangs and really bad corporations that are controlling, and that's probably where you know the name Cyberpunk from. Blade Runner is in the cyberpunk genre. It's a dystopian future set in Los Angeles where they've created these bioengineered humans called replicants that they created for using as dangerous off-world labor, but some of them rebelled and escaped to Earth. So what they did was create these things called Blade Runners, which were basically just bounty hunters tasked to destroy these replicants, even though it turns out that these Blade Runners were actually replicants themselves. The Giver. On first glance, The Giver seems to be a utopian society. They've eliminated all pain, conflict, and seemingly all suffering by enforcing really strict rules. People live in this highly controlled society where basically every aspect of their life is controlled. Everything from choosing a career to family structure is regulated by a committee of elders. And so because of this, citizens don't feel any deep emotions or even really see color, and it seems they've suppressed the emotions of every person except for one person, and that is the receiver of memory. This person is responsible for holding all of the world's true past, including the good and the bad. The guy in the book remembers all these memories and realizes how empty their way of life is today, and he slowly begins to learn that a lot of the stuff they're doing is really bad, like euthanizing the weak and the elderly and the disabled to maintain control. Mad Max slash Waterworld. So Mad Max and Waterworld are very similar in opposite ways, if that makes sense. In the Mad Max world, there's a huge energy crisis because of a shortage of oil, which leads to nuclear weapons destroying most of society and leaving everybody in a terrible desert wasteland with almost no water. The most important resource in the Mad Max world is water along with gas, as all their vehicles, they drive a whole bunch of ridiculous vehicles and attack each other for those resources. In contrast, Waterworld is on a world completely covered by water, where the polar ice caps have melted, flooding presumably all the land on Earth. And so because of this, fresh water is extremely scarce, but even more scarce is soil or dirt for growing plants. And so we learn that the main character in Waterworld is this guy who has grown gills so that he can swim down really far in the ocean and get dirt, and at the same time everybody is trying to find this mythical dry land that everybody talks about. And what makes the two worlds so similar is, you know, scarcity of fresh water, and oil is extremely important to everyone. And even like the producers of Waterworld said they were trying to do a rip-off of Mad Max in a way, as they all drive ridiculous boats just like they drive ridiculous vehicles in Mad Max. Logan's Run. In Logan's Run, people live in a huge domed city and are completely oblivious to the outside world. As far as everybody knows, there's been a huge nuclear cataclysm that has made the entire world barren and poisonous, and so because of this, in an attempt to combat overpopulation inside of the dome, everybody gets renewed at the age of 30. And people are really excited about getting renewed, and like they celebrate it and there's a huge ceremony for it, but really people are just dying. Some people realize that they're dying, and so they try to flee, and they're called runners because of this, where the name Logan's Run comes from. And so Logan gets outside of the dome and realizes the entire world is actually a lot better than inside the domed city. 1984. In George Orwell's 1984, people are controlled by a totalitarian regime led by the Party. This party enforces absolute control over every aspect of life in this made-up nation called Oceania. They use constant surveillance, propaganda, and historical manipulations to suppress individual thought to the point where people believe things like war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength, and they do crazy things like doublethink, where the party will hold two contradicting beliefs as true, even though there's obvious contradictions between these two beliefs, which I feel like some people still do today. Snowpiercer. This is a movie where people live on this giant train, and the entire outside world beyond the train is a huge polar wasteland and there's like an ice age going on. The elite in society live at the front of the train, whereas the poor people live in the back of the train and are forced to eat bugs. And the reason people can't get off the train is because, one, it's going really fast, and two, if they stop the train, it's a perpetual motion machine, so if the engine stopped, it would stop heating the train and everybody would freeze to death. Anyways, there's this really cool theory about how Snowpiercer is a sequel to Willy Wonka, and there's things like how Ed Harris in the movie, who is the train builder named Wilford, plays the adult version of Charlie from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And so, just like Wonka needed a successor for his factory, Wilford needed a successor for the train, and being the engineer for the train. And there's a lot of similar themes in the movie, like how they were going through all these sections and people were getting picked off one by one, just like in Willy Wonka. And I don't know, I just thought it was really interesting, the whole idea that this was a sequel. The Time Machine. In the 1960 The Time Machine movie, this guy goes into the future by using this homemade time machine he built. He goes to the year 800,000, where humanity has evolved into two distinct species. The surface-dwelling people that look like normal humans named Aloy, who are descendants from rich humans, and then the horrible ape-looking people called Morlocks that live underground and feed on the people that live on the surface. The Morlocks were descendants from the workers who were forced underground, but somehow they bred the descendants from the rich people into the Eloi, which are just really kind of dumb people that they have clothed and they feed regularly like cattle. And so these dumb, normal-looking people hear this air raid siren and basically walk towards this huge sphinx-looking thing where they are then eaten by the Morlocks because they've been conditioned to do this. Anyways, that's a good one. I would recommend watching that one. Soylent Green. In the world of Soylent Green, the world is extremely polluted and has a terrible overpopulation problem in the year 2022. This has happened because there was a huge environmental collapse on Earth, which caused a huge economic depression where natural resources and wildlife have almost been completely destroyed worldwide. And so because of this, people are mostly unemployed and they're just walking around the streets where these giant mysterious trucks then scoop them up and take them away like they're animals. And it turns out that the main source of their food, spoiler warning if you haven't seen a movie from like the 1970s, is actually humans, and they call it Soylent Green. It's like the most popular food source. Anyways, that is a really terrible place to live, a terrible dystopian future. But thank you guys for watching this long video. If you've watched this, then you're just like me for real. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.
So if the Earth rotates around the sun once a year, and in that one rotation there are 365 little rotations, representing 1 day per little rotation, equating to 365 with one large rotation, and 365 divided by 28 is 13. So you mean to tell me that we could equally split a year into 13 equal months, every month having 28 days? The beginning of the month starts on a Monday, the end of the month ends on a Sunday. And hold the phone, because you're telling me that September, sept meaning 7, October, oct meaning 8, but it's the 10th month, November, nov meaning 9, but it's the 11th month, and December, but it's the 12th month, and decagon is 10. But hold on, what if the end of the year wasn't in December? What if January was the 11th month, because December would be the 10th, November would be the 9th, October would be the 8th, September would be the 7th. So January is the 11th, February is the 12th, and March is the 13th, the last month of the year. And the beginning of the year is the spring equinox, when everything begins to start growing and renewing, and life begins to flourish. Wouldn't it make sense that that would be the beginning of the year and not December? I don't know. What do y'all think?
Got everything?
No, I need to go get my jacket.
Oh my God,
It's
again?
okay, it's okay, it's okay. I mean, it's, you know, we forget things
Hello?
every now and then.
Why are you calling me now? I was just with my girl. Yes, I'm coming to see you later.
Who is that?
Brittany, you gotta stop calling my phone. You never know when I'm with my
God.
girl. Like you're doing too much. I told you text me first on the Telegram, and then I'll let you know if you could text me and call me.
Yeah?
Yes, I'll come to see you later. All right, I gotta go. All right, we ready?
Yeah, I got it.
Let's go. Where's my key?
Okay. So, are you going somewhere later?
Why?
I was just asking. I was just asking. I was wondering. I thought maybe we can go to Brittany's house.
Who the hell is that?
Brittany? Who's Brittany? Well, you know Brittany. Yeah.
I don't know
She
Brittany.
just called you.
What are you talking about?
Brittany called him just a couple minutes
Who
ago.
the hell is Brittany?
I don't know, but I thought that we could go to
Who the hell are you
Brittany's.
talking about?
I don't
Let's
know.
call Brittany back.
Yeah. Well, it's on his phone.
I got quite a lot of comments on one of my last videos about how the Earth is actually only 6,000 years old. I'm going to tell you how I know you're wrong, and in doing so, I think you're going to finally see why fake diamond rings are so much better than the real thing. Because there's this crystal, it's called zircon. It's naturally occurring, it's about 100 times cheaper than diamonds, even though they basically look the same. And you get it when molten lava solidifies into rocks. You get these sort of zircon crystals that sprinkle across the surface. But what is interesting about zircon is that there are some atoms, like uranium, that can get trapped in the structure when zircon forms. And then zircon acts like this little jail cell almost, like that the uranium is trapped in there forever unless you destroy the crystal. Anyway, back when the Earth was like this molten lava blob, the very beginning of our planet, there were some crystals of zircon that managed to trap some atoms of uranium inside them. But the thing is that uranium is like this very kind of fat, unwieldy atom, right? It's very unstable. And it has a habit of breaking apart into two small atoms of lead. This is called radioactive decay. Now, lead has no way of getting inside that zircon gel cell when it forms. So if you find lead inside zircon, the only way it got there was if it used to be uranium that has since decayed. Now, here's the clever bit, because we know precisely how often uranium decays into lead. So if you get a whole bunch of zircon and you count up how many atoms of uranium there are and how many atoms of lead there are, you can work backwards to find out exactly how long ago that crystal was formed. And that is exactly what scientists did. They found some really old zircon down in Australia that was formed at the beginning of the Earth. And they dated it, and that is how we know that the Earth is 4.4 billion years old. Now, I should add that gold, also part of your ring, it can't be created on Earth, right? It can only be formed inside the heart of a dying star or in a collision of two neutron stars. And it only gets here by hitching a ride on some cosmic object like an asteroid or a comet, probably billions of years ago too. And so if you give somebody a fake diamond ring, a zircon ring, you are literally handing them an ember of the history of our planet wrapped in some genuine glittering stardust. I mean, what could possibly be better than that?